Hello everyone and welcome to another Scardcast review. Today we are going to be looking at two of the new releases from Games Workshop. One very controversial, one really fun. So, what do I think about them? Let's dive right into the video.
The Dark King.
Hi everyone and welcome to Scardcast review videos. Games Workshop was kind enough to send two of the new releases to the studio. One of them very controversial. One of them super fun. So let's dive in to see what is inside of them, what makes them tick, and what ultimately I think about both of these. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they ugly? Am I going to use them, or are they going to sit on the shelf gathering dust? Let's begin. The first book we're going to take a look at really quickly, and it's going to be in sections, will be the Crusade book, Beyond the Veil. Personally, I have been playing a lot of Crusade missions recently. You noticed I did a battle report recently against the Orcs. I just filmed another battle report against the Necrons not too long ago that was released for Patreons that will be available on Tuesday for general release. So make sure you stay tuned for that one as well. I'm going to be recording another one using this supplement. Inside is a variety of really cool stuff, so I'm going to dive in and kind of show you what you will find in this publication. And here we have Beyond the Veil. It is basically a mission pack. I like the size. It's at a good size, but what sort of missions do we have in here? What sort of stories and lore? The table of contents is pretty nifty. I personally, I haven't really read the story behind the Prior Nexus. However, I do like how the Beyond the Veil games come in, and there are a couple of things they've changed from your regular Crusade missions to the Beyond the Veil games. So we'll get to that in a second. Essentially, if you've played Crusade, you understand how this works. They've added some cool agendas, so you can kind of pick them when you play Beyond the Veil. They've added new battle traits, cool relics that can be unlocked to get the superpower of the relics, which I think is awesome. Also, Necrons can unlock them easily because this is, of course, a Necron-filled sort of thing. Special battle scars and investigation points that you can use to upgrade your units or unlock relics and things like that. That's awesome. So what is the main sort of change? You have some cool strategic setbacks that you get, and also we'll take a look at the missions in a second, but that's really neat. You also get afflictions, so when you're playing the missions, you can have things like your reserves being delayed, and you can also have afflictions that, for example, invulnerable saves are reduced to -1, so it can really impact the course of the game. Now, I'll tell you what I think about the book at the end here, but there are 6 combat patrol missions, there are 6 incursion missions, there are 6 onslaught missions, and 6 strikeforce missions, essentially adding so many missions to the Crusade mechanics. Cool thing, you get, of course, the basic rules for the main core rulebook in here, but there is a bit of an issue with this book, which I'll get to in a second. Okay, so in terms of Beyond the Veil, in my opinion, it's like a 4 out of 5. I've really been enjoying Crusade as a format, and I really enjoy adding this to sort of spice up and supplement my games of Warhammer 40,000 Crusade. So as my Crusade grows and becomes bigger and better, and I get cooler upgrades for my units, this will essentially generate more stories and more interactions with my opponent. The one big gripe that I had with the Beyond the Veil book is that the main Crusade rules are not in here, so you do have to buy the main rule book, even though they've put all the rules for objectives and terrain and strategic reserves and all the core rules are in here, but not the
the Crusade rules. So you still need to purchase the big main rulebook instead of just putting it all in like one little package. If they had already done it in here, then you could just get this and play Crusades and then add it, the Beyond the Veil, to your Crusade games. Now, of course, next we're going to be looking at what is the most controversial book in a long time in publication for Warhammer 40,000 from Games Workshop, and that is the Tactical Deployment. What do I think about this? What do we find inside of this book? Well, I'll talk about that.
We go from Beyond the Veil to Tactical Deployment, which is technically a mission pack. Now, there are some thoughts that I have about this book, and I'll get to that in a second, and sort of like what you get inside. But the theory here is that you build your army to a certain size, and then you can add terrain to the rules or to your army. So your army's 2,000 points, if you play 2,000 points, plus, say, 100 points of terrain. It sounds pretty cool. You know, if you're a local at event or you're playing with a friend who doesn't really have a lot of terrain, what do I think about that? I think that's useful. The missions, though, I actually really like the missions. They have areas where you have to put terrain within a certain distance of the missions, and there are a lot of really cool sort of mission parameters and, you know, mission objectives, and the way the objectives are placed, if your player placed terrain, can be quite engaging. Now, I have a gripe with this book, and I'll get to that in a second, but it is kind of cool that you get all the rules and things like that in here, which is standard with these books, which means you're basically going to get copies of the main rule book over and over. That's fine, but here goes. My gripe with this book is, at least in my copy of this book, there is, like, no terrain rules in this book. No terrain features. It tells you what terrain is. It tells you what the terrain traits are. And it gives you some secondary objectives. Some of them have to do with terrain, which is cool, like flushing people out of terrain. And then they say, hey, here are the missions, right? And then I was like, wait, well, okay, here's the tactical deployment data sheets. It says you get data sheets in this book. And I don't know if this is just my book, but it doesn't seem like it's missing any pages. And it gives me one terrain data sheet, just store the storage fane, and then it goes into terrain features. So what terrain? Am I supposed to get a whole bunch of other like things to buy to put terrain on, or like are they each piece of terrain that you buy from a kit, is it going to come with like a data sheet in the terrain kit when you purchase the data sheet? It's not really explained. It says you can find it in this section, so what, one piece of terrain, okay, or in any of the battle zone products, okay, so you have to buy the zones and you get like terrain data sheets, and you know, that sort of thing. So, well, I wish they would have kind of put some time into putting like more of a selection of actual terrain that I could purchase in my army on this. Other than that, the missions seem really fun. I just wish that I had more access to the tactical terrain data sheets that I have available, instead of just giving me one and that's it. And I don't know if that's an oversight or whatever, but you know, I think, you know, I'll give my full comments on it in a second, but that is probably one of my main observations of the Tactical Deployment special book.
So there you have it, Tactical Deployment. My main focus on this is the fact that I'm really sad that there's no terrain rules other than like the one data sheet in this pack. I wish that there would have been like a series or a list of terrain rules or something more like in it, so that you could just buy this and essentially have a series of terrain rules that you could use from your existing collection of Warhammer 40,000 terrain. Yes, you have chapter approved and Monatorium manual that gives you fortresses and things like that, which is great, and you can use those sort of fortifications and they can be part of your list. But this, it gives so much to be desired. I like the concept. However, I'm giving this a solid 1 out of 5 scary faces, or whatever I'm going to call them, just because it's sort of, I feel like it misses the mark. So, let me give you my full compliments on Beyond the Veil. I really enjoy it. I'm going to be using this a lot. But Tactical Deployment just seems like it's not something I'm going to be using a lot. And if it's something you're going to be using, let me know down below in the comments. What do you think? Do you think this is something that could catch on, that could work? Do you like the idea of using terrain tactically? Are you a a tournament organizer that doesn't have terrain, and this was sort of marketed as a, hey, if you don't have terrain, then you can just have people sort of bring terrain to the event as part of their army and then use it as part of the terrain. So should players have agency over creating a battlefield to generate a tactical advantage in game? Other than that, Crusade, get this one, Beyond the Veil. It's amazing, and I'm going to use it all the time. Other than that, I hope you really enjoyed this quick, dirty review. I'm trying something a little different, so make sure you leave a comment down below, click that thumbs up button, share it with your friends, and of course a huge shout out to the channel Patreons, without whom I wouldn't be able to do this content. You denizens are amazing, and I love every single one of you. Thank you so much. I've been Skari, your grateful host, signing off until next time. Skari out. Bye everybody.